What's going on, YouTube? I am back home in Nashville, Tennessee. I just got back today. It feels great to be back. Feels amazing to be home. And World's Strongest Man 2023 is officially done. I wanted to make this video to give my personal recap, thoughts, feelings, emotions on the entirety of the competition, how it went well for me, how it didn't go so well for me, and overall just go over the entire week and give you guys a little bit of an insight. All right, so with the heat events, I was in a pretty good group. I had Trey Mitchell, Ethor Melstead, uh, Mark Felix was another one that I've competed with multiple times. I love him. Just a really, really solid lineup. I knew it was going to be a little bit of a fight getting to top position or even to the final. So I had a fight ahead of me, but I was really happy. I was really ready to go. So went through all the events and I ended up placing second overall in the heat. And that was to Trey Mitchell. I almost got him. It came down to the kettlebell toss, and Trey, being the third person in the entire history of World's Strongest Man to get the seventh bell over the height, and I'm going to be totally honest, I did not see that coming. Kudos to Trey for that. He's really been working on that, and it turned out that was a good event for him. It pushed me into second. He won the heat, and I was in the stone off with Ethor from Iceland. Now, I went into this really upset with my performance because I knew that I had the capability to win my heat given the events that were put out in front of me. And there's nothing really that I can say. Trey, he came prepared. He came ready to win. And I could have trained harder on a couple of things. So it is what it is. Everything fell into place as it needed to be. And I was in the stone off. And for anybody who was there, the people who will be watching it at home, online, on television, whatever, will be able to tell pretty obviously I went into a little bit of a animalistic state there. I got to the last stone with Ethor. It was a 200 kilogram, 440 pound stone, and it was back and forth. Whoever can't load it is out of the final, and whoever can is in. So started, I want to say that the first stone was 300 pounds. It was super easy. Then we blitzed it, went to the next one, went to the next one, went to the next one, and then we finished. There were 6 stones altogether. The last one, again, being 440, 200 kilograms. I loaded the stone 3 times. I believe that Ethor loaded it 3 times as well. He wasn't able to give it back to me. And when I saw him struggling, I just snapped mentally. I was so hyped up. The adrenaline was flowing. The crowd was amazing. Also, Myrtle Beach, thank you. The crowd was amazing. They were electrifying. I felt your guys' energy throughout the entire competition, and it never wavered. It never went down. When he started struggling with the last rep on the 440, I lost my mind. I remember when he was loading the stone for the second time, and I didn't mean this in a malice or a disrespectful way. It's just I remember looking at him as I was reapplying my tacky. I said, "You will not beat me. You cannot beat me. I will die for this. You can't beat me." And I also remember when he started showing signs of struggling, I approached the bar and I was screaming at him for him to get it just so I could load the stone again, so I could go again. I was ready to go. I was worked up beyond recognition. I was aggressive. I was excited, and I knew that the final was finally here. After the 3 experiences that I've had with World's Strongest Man, not being able to get to the final and not being able to put on display all of my talent and hard work, that was just a huge thing for me. I loved that so much. Words couldn't describe how amazing it felt to finally make it to the final. I'm one of the top 10 strongest men in the world. And so I was over the moon. I was so happy. And then finals day. So shield carry, first one, I believe it was 410 pounds. So around 180, 190 kilograms for max distance. I was going into the final with this, assuming that this would be my worst event. I'm just not really a fan of front carry for max distance. It's just not an event that I've ever really liked. And I was expecting to not do so well. But it turns out that I ended up taking fifth, I believe. I believe I was fifth overall in the shield carry. I beat some really well known names. I got a really good distance. And honestly, I was super kind of surprised with my performance. I was very happy with where I was sitting after that. I wasn't far behind some of the other guys. Trey, I think he managed to get like a foot or two in front of me. Alexei Novikov, Tom Stoltman, Mitch Hooper, all of those guys did amazing. So yeah, I managed to scrape up a decent amount of points and go into the next event relatively happy. And then the next event was the deadlift. The deadlift. That was I was expecting to do about as well as I did. If I'm totally honest, I was expecting to hit about 5 or 6. The whip threw me off. If you rewatch the footage of me doing the deadlift, I almost had to catch myself from falling backwards on the first lift just because I wasn't anticipating the whip. It was unreal. I'd never trained on an elephant bar or anything that whips forward and backward as well as up and down. So yeah, that went okay. That's where I dropped a decent amount of points, and I feel like combined with the shield carry result and the deadlift result now, I feel like that kind of took me out of contention for the title. No slander to Mitch or Tom or Alexi, any of those guys. They were smashing it. They were on point. They were doing great. They were getting the job done. So all the respect in the world to them. Going into the last event, Fingal Finger, this was where I was very, very disappointed in myself because I felt like I should have done so much better than I did. I'm not sure what happened. I had a blitzing first 4 fingers, and there was 5 fingers. The fifth one was 380 pounds. I don't know what that is in kilos, but I don't know what happened. I got the finger halfway over, and every muscle in my body just shut off and stopped working. My arms, my shoulders, my back, my legs, especially. I lost all my driving power. And if you watch it, actually halfway through, I actually come back a little bit on my hips. There was a popping feeling in my hamstring, and I think that really inhibited me from, I guess, doing better. I don't make excuses. I just wasn't prepared. I wasn't strong enough. Whatever condition, whatever. I don't make excuses. Just a little bit of an insight. Felt a little bit of a pop in my hamstring, and as soon as I got back to the athlete tent, the first thing that I did was I stripped. I stripped all my kit off, like my knee sleeves, my shoes, all of that good stuff. And I went to the medical tent. I went to the recovery tent to see what they could do, see if it was torn, if I lost my ligament, if I lost tendon, hamstring, anything. Everything for the most part, outside of a terribly large amount of inflammation and swelling, there wasn't any discoloration, and everything seemed like it was going to be kind of okay, just really, really painful. I was having a very hard time putting weight on it going back to the bus because that was the last event of the day. And I think I placed fifth overall in the Fingal Finger, which again, for me, was very disappointing. I was supposed to have a standout event in that one, and it didn't work out so well for me, and I'm super disappointed about that. But I'm just going to train that harder and harder now. So the next day, the final day of World's Strongest Man 2023, the first event that we did was the Max Circus Dumbbell. This was another event that I had kind of banked for me. It's a really good event for me. I'm very, very explosive. Circus Dumbbell is a very technical lift, and I feel like I'm doing relatively well on that. And I ended up taking joint first with Mitchell Hooper at 309 pounds. We were the only ones to lift 309. We both went for, I think it was 320. We both missed it. I was very close, but it just wasn't there. Obviously, after, I don't know, like 10 ish events, like 8-10 events, my body was really feeling it. And then the hamstring wasn't very good. The medical tent was kind enough to give me a little bit of a painkiller, so I didn't have to worry about that. But you definitely feel it. It was definitely off. Yeah, big surprises in the circus dumbbell too. Brian Shaw not being able to get to 300. Um, Tom Stoltman doing very well, showing a lot of improvement on the circus dumbbell. Alexei Novikov. If I had to give it to somebody, I was expecting Alexei Novikov to win. If I'm being totally honest, and yeah, it's just one of those things where in strongman anything can happen. Also, Mitch Hooper, shout out to him. He's been really hammering his circus dumbbell, and it showed. We ended up taking joint first. So my first ever final, I ended up taking an event win. So I will take that. Next, we have truck pull, another first for World's Strongest Man history. I made top three. Me and Tom Stoltman tied at second place with 32:27 seconds, which we were literally tied down to the millisecond. And that has never happened in World's Strongest Man history. That is what it is. It's the time that I was given, so that's the time that I accept. Mitch Hooper pulling out the event win with, I think he got 30 seconds, 30 something. So, yeah, again, another top three finish, top two finish for me. Can't be mad at that. It's good points. This is the heartbreaking part. I'm going into World's Strongest Man, the final event, the Stones. I'm good at Stones. I'm confident in Stones. And I'm going up against Alexei Novikov. I am down by half a point. And if I beat Alexei Novikov in Stones, I'm on the podium for World's Strongest Man. I'm third place. That's all I wanted. It was what I said I was going to do. I was going to be on the podium, and I was about to prove it to the world. And a slight fumble on the first stone cost me podium. And I know the type of athlete and person that I am. That is going to stay with me for the rest of the year. That is going to haunt me because I did not come home from World's Strongest Man 2023 with a trophy because of that slip, and that irritates the fuck out of me. He ended up beating me by 1 second. 1 second separated me and Alexei Novikov from me being on my first podium in my first final. Hamstring on. I went for the last stone. Neither of us were able to get the last stone. It was 465 pound stone, 5 stones. It was super, super heavy. It was super awkward. We were both just completely fried. I had nothing left. I was giving everything I could, but there wasn't enough in my hamstrings and my glutes and my lower back to be able to get that triple extension to get it onto the platform. So unfortunately, I ended up dropping it, and I was a point behind. I was a second behind Alexei Novikov, pushed me down into fourth. Me and Trey Mitchell ended up tying at fourth place, but because he loaded all 5 stones and beat me in stones, the count back rule pushes me down to 5th place. So I finished World's Strongest Man 2023, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, in 5th place. I am the 5th strongest man in the world. I was 1 second away from being on the podium in my first final. It is what it is. First of all, congratulations to all of the athletes. Being able to share the field with Brian Shaw and Mark Felix on their last World's Strongest Man appearance is something that I'll never forget. It's something that I will really hold to heart, especially for what both of those men have done for me, especially Brian Shaw. I don't have enough nice things to say about Brian. I could make an entire video on Brian by himself. But just being able to share that experience with him for the last time, that's something that I will really hold to heart. Also, yeah, all in all, it was a bittersweet feeling because I've made the final. I've made top 5. I'm 5th strongest man in the entire world, but I was also that fucking close to being on the podium and taking some hardware home. That will eat at me, but I will say this, that will fuel all of my training for the rest of the year. So, yeah, I am going to take a couple of days break, just relax, let my body rest, let my CNS come back, and then get my hamstring looked at, make sure that everything's okay there, and then I'm just back to training because the next one is Royal Albert Hall in London. So if you enjoyed the recap, thank you very much. I appreciate all of you for being patient with me during World's Strongest Man. I know I wasn't active on social media or anything like that. That was on purpose. I turned my phone off. I actively tried to stay off social media, and I just wanted to focus on nothing but the competition. So if you liked the video, make sure to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And until the next time, T-Rex Kingdom, 5th in the world, baby.